Welcome everybody, welcome again. This is the second webinar in the 7-week bootcamp created to help you grow your micro or small business by identifying and marketing only to your ideal customer or client. Today, the subject is values. I am totally confident that working with values will change your approach to business. It will build a strong foundation for your business success and business growth, and that this will change your life. So I do encourage you to turn off distractions. Don't try to multitask. Give yourself the gift of focusing on your business for the next 45 to 50 minutes. Take a moment now to become totally present. Connect with your purpose of being on this call. Take a deep breath in and breathe out any frustration or thought or annoyance or distraction. Breathe out all ideas of what you have to do later and become totally present. I do encourage you to take lots of notes and to do this in my special format of A, B, C, because you don't need to write down what I say. You can revisit this webinar as frequently as you like. What I do suggest you write down falls into the ABC. First of all, your action category, things that you are actually going to do. Second, your aha moments, or as I call them, your BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious. And C, your questions, things that need clarifying. These you can email me and we'll work on them in the Q&A sessions. Today's webinar is dense. There's a lot of concepts and ideas that may be new. So that's indeed what the Q&A sessions are for. Really make sure that you're clear and that you understand the implications of what I'm saying. So, if you're ready with pen and paper, let's get into it. So we're working on step 2 in the 7-step process and focusing on values. How your own personal values affect your business. Not only what kind of business, but also the how of your business. A business is a series of relationships. A great business is a series of great relationships where there is a very high level of trust. Trust comes largely from shared values, shared beliefs, and shared desires to live in the same kind of world. So in order to know these things from your ideal client's perspective, you need to know what your values are. And then you need to understand what your business does and how it operates and must operate to ensure you are aligned with your values. I'm talking here specifically about micro and small businesses where the owner is in charge. So let's get clear on why it's important to align with your values. The more familiar we are with our values as an individual, the less conflict tends to occur. Our values exist and are expressed in behaviour, excuse me, whether we have deliberately set that behaviour or not. So, better to be deliberate. So why are they so important? In his book, The Path of Least Resistance for Managers, Robert Fritz asks, what kind of organisation would you rather work for or own? One in which you could express what was highest in your spirit, or one that doesn't care for you personally, just needs someone like you to do a job so it can make more profit? Where would you prefer to work? Not too many people would choose the latter organisation. So what does that tell us about ourselves? That we would rather be a member of a company that stands for values, that reaches for its future, that cares about its people, not one that doesn't. Values affect every part of your business. They affect culture, strategy, your leadership style, sales style and systems, staff, who you employ, how you manage them, and indeed how they behave, as well as the structure and the systems. They're like the oil in an engine. They ensure it works. Great businesses, small micro businesses, and indeed large businesses practice their values, and they are able to be true to themselves, which actually means they tend to make a lot more money, more on why soon. But evidence shows that they are 4 times more profitable. Values are sometimes called our true north. What we are truly aligned to. That is a genuine phenomenon of the human spirit that cannot be manufactured nor declared into existence. Yeah? Your true north is genuine. You can't just declare it and make it be. It is also, if it is thwarted, it doesn't go away. It smoulders as an undercurrent of frustration that builds over time. And doesn't just affect you, it affects your whole business, every aspect of it. And the more aligned you can make your business, not only will you grow faster, but you will do it with more fulfillment and satisfaction, both for yourself, anyone working with you, and your customers and clients. Because values affect every part of a business, I can't cover them all, not just in one webinar. Can't do an MBA in one webinar. So today I'm going to concentrate on the top 5. So I'll try not to overwhelm you, but as I said, it is a bit dense. I'll leave discussion of structure and systems for another time. So in what ways do you and your business lose if you're not aligned with your values? Well, you lose time, the only thing we cannot create more of. Time that would be better spent doing something that actually mattered to you. Your business loses because a person with strong values and purpose alignment wants to help in any way possible with ideas, energy, time, and commitment. And, of course, they want to work for a business that does care about them. Someone without values alignment doesn't want to contribute in this way. So you lose opportunity. You lose the opportunity and the energy and the commitment and the ideas of your team. The juice of alignment of culture, structures, systems, sales language cannot be found and made to flow strongly. Your leadership falls on deaf ears, and anyone on your team really struggles to understand why you want things done in a certain way. And the biggest cause of people not doing what you want them to do is they don't understand why you want them to do it the way you want them to. That's the biggest cause of people not doing what you want them to do. So if you have a partner with whom you have a strong values alignment, your leadership falls on deaf ears, you can think about this in your home environment. If you have a partner with whom you have a strong values alignment, conflict will be less than if values are not aligned. In fact, if values are not aligned, conflict is absolutely inevitable. And the 5th way a business loses is it loses people. It's the lost people that most gets to me. I want people to have fulfilling work. That's why I do the work that I do. But people who are unable to live their best lives because they're trapped working in a business they'd rather not be in. And it's not that difficult to bring your values alive within your business. And finally, of course, the world loses. It loses one more business, treading water, going nowhere, and possibly doing more harm than good. Frightening statistics about small businesses in New Zealand is that they more are closing than are starting up. We are losing our small and micro businesses. It's my mission to reach and find as many of them as I can and help them. Okay, so what are values? Let's get clear on what I mean by values. They're not to be confused with morals or ethics or principles or needs or judgments or attitudes, virtues or even emotions. They are concepts. Values are concepts or mental constructs that capture and express what is most important to us. They're the sum of our preferences and priorities. Preferences are what we would rather have in our lives than do without. Priorities indicate how important each preference is in relation to another. And values are relational. We can only hold a handful of values as our top priorities, and they work in relation with each other. So a value is a preference times its priority to us. Values are expressed through our actions, our decisions, and our language. They are what you believe in and what you have decided is important. Without the organizing principle which values clarification and alignment brings, a business will end up in conflict. Even a one-person business, because values are relational. That is, they exist in relation to each other, to the aspirations or goals of the business, and to the current situation in the business. Even at the personal level, a value of family may conflict with a value of work. An example of this played out in the movie We Were Soldiers. An army private is in a chapel praying, and his colonel comes in and kneels to pray beside him. The young private turns to the colonel and asks, "How do you handle being a soldier and a Christian?" And the colonel replies, "I just hope being good at one makes me better at the other." And this is ideally how our top values should interrelate. And I suggest you think about it as you work through your values exercise this week. Being good at one value should empower you to be effective with another value. But in order to do this, we must know its priority. We must know which is more important to us. Now, they do change over time. Values change over time as our life progresses. That's natural. And the importance of different values changes over time as well. So, for example, where and how I live is more important to me than high earnings. It certainly was more important to me than high earnings whilst I had my children still in high school. So I was able to choose living and working from a home in the country where I could be at home when the boys came home from school, which may or may not have meant that some clients would work with me or not. I was able to choose between those two, the priority of those two values. And now it's shifting, but that's another story. So how do values work? How do they actually play out in a business? Our values are behind every choice we make and are therefore our most powerful motivators. We learn to make choices based on our preferences from an early age. What I want you to get is to be clear about your own personal values and how they play out in your business. If I value obedience or duty, I will put myself in a work situation that has a high level of compliance with moral and legal obligations, or doing as I am told. If, however, I value obedience, compliance, and find myself in a work situation where the culture does not support, expect, acknowledge compliance, I will become frustrated and my energy will be sapped each time a compliance opportunity appears and is let slip. So a person who values compliance will not be motivated to work independently or in situations where there are no fixed guidelines. The reverse is readily understood. Someone who does not value compliance will struggle with rigid rules and systems. So in our businesses, what we value is behind not only what we choose to do, but how, including who we decide to sell to and how we decide to take our product to market. My 3 highest values are moral and value fulfillment, knowledge, and lifestyle location, and I have structured my business to honour those values. I invite you to do a little exercise right now, if you would. Think about a business owner whose business you know quite well and try to work out what the values of that business are. Don't worry about whether you've got the right description. Just think about what their premises are like, what work they actually do, what you know about how they spend their time, including their free time. Are you able to identify 3 or 4 values of the business owner? Values also affect culture. They are, in fact, a key ingredient of culture, because culture is a system of shared beliefs and values passed on through behaviour and learning. Once we're clear on what we value, we can direct our attention, energy, and focus on what we have decided is important. It allows us to really focus. Research has shown that the neural networks in our brain are values driven in their patterns. Have you heard about the reticular activating system? The reticular activating system, it's called a RAS by clever people in the know. It's located at the top of our spine and is responsible for filtering information. Our RAS filters information. It's like it's like a GPS. It functions like the search engine on your computer, only its keywords are your chosen values. I've only just found out that the RAS is a values-driven system. I always knew that values were important in business, and now I've found out that the RAS is behind this, and I'm so excited because it's just given me, so much more motivation to work with values with businesses. Now, recall what happens on the internet when you don't give clear keywords. Well, that's what happens when we don't give clear direction to our RAS. Your RAS determines what information to prioritize according to your values. In short, our values direct our attention. When a business clarifies its values and deliberately aligns personal values with those of the business, attention to doing what needs to be done in the way it needs to be done is greatly enhanced, and success comes much more easily. Values affect strategy. Strategy. Our plan for moving in a deliberately chosen direction towards our vision, our strategic goal, or our objective. Once we're clear on what we value, we can direct our attention and energy on onto what we have decided is important. And it makes saying no to what will not serve our achievement of our vision much easier. But a word of caution. As a micro and small business owner, you, the owner, must think about what you value and build your business strategy with that as your focus. So let's look at how values affect strategy. Whilst this thinking is usually applied to large organizations and businesses, For a small business owner, this is a decision that must align with your personal values. Sometimes called your value proposition, this is the idea that you must deliver outstanding results to your customers in one of 3 areas to be memorable and referable. So the image is of the tricycle. And a tricycle has a leading wheel, that's the one at the front, and then 2 supporting wheels. Those are your supporting strategies. And the leading wheel is your lead strategy. So deciding on a strategy usually involves between leading by having systems and operations working better than anyone else, operational excellence that's called, or leading by knowing your customer better than your competition, that's called customer intimacy, or having superior products or continually introducing new products so you can stay ahead of your competition. One of these must be the lead strategy. You can't have 2 wheels in front. The tricycle just doesn't work like that. Very difficult to lead with more than one. So your personal values must align with your choice of your lead strategy. Don't worry, might sound complicated, but I can help you in the Q&A work through this so that you get clear. Let's take a deeper look at what I mean. Systems and operations equals values that if system and operational excellence is your lead strategy, values that emphasize control must be dominant in that business, because success requires great systems that are applied consistently. So your values, or the values of a business owner with operational excellence as the lead strategy, will likely include things like decision-making, supervising, power and authority, detail and precision work, and will likely not include adventure and risk or change and variety. So looking at customer intimacy or customer knowledge, if you choose this as your lead strategy for achieving your goals and your business success, then it is likely that your values will include things like demonstrate my competence, contact with the public, influence and guide, acknowledgement, and will most likely not include many values that emphasize control or predictability or intense competition. You see how there is an alignment between the strategy that you choose to grow your business and be a leader, be an expert in your field, and your own personal values. Let's look at product leadership. Product leadership is someone intending to build success by having leading products or continually inventing new products, being at the leading edge. This business owner must emphasize developmental values, such as researching for new knowledge or working in the fast lane, or creative innovative solutions, or creative self-expression. And their highest values will not include many that emphasize job security or working in predictable circumstances, working with beauty, or being affiliated, for example. There's not a lot of predictability in being at the leading edge. But it's important to say that this is not prescriptive, and there are always exceptions. However, if you really value creating new innovative ideas, program structures that don't fit or follow formats developed by others trying to build your business success on systems and operations excellence as your primary driver, will be a recipe for frustration. So, say that again, Bridget. That was a really long sentence. If you really value creating new innovative ideas, building your business success on systems and operational excellence as your primary driver will be a recipe for frustration and indeed conflict. So any business will likely include and need some of all three types of values. But one must be chosen as the lead strategy. And for a small or micro business, your lead strategy must align with your personal values in order for you to lead without frustration. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about values and leadership. The role of a business owner or leader should be primarily focused on the effective alignment of everything in the business in order to achieve the desired end result. Values are essential because they are the foundation block on which it is all built. Without the clarity that comes from a business owner knowing their values and clearly deciding to build their business with an alignment to their highest values, what often happens is that they spend years getting distracted by every prospect or opportunity that comes their way. In a micro or small business, you may be doing everything and think, therefore, that clarifying values isn't so critical. But unless you clarify them, you'll be constantly distracted and pulled in many different directions. So think again about the groups of values: control, relational, and developmental. And consider yourself, you, the leader, building a relational values business and then being a controlling leader. Anyone you are hoping to lead, employees or customers, will be very confused because your systems, your language, your processes will be jumbled and not clear. So I've been speaking a little bit about sales. There are three types of selling methodology. There's needs-based selling, there's relationship selling, and there's solution-based selling. So needs-based selling would emphasize control values. Relationship sales would emphasize relational values. And of course, solutions-based sales would emphasize developmental values, product leadership values. So selling is a skill and some of us are naturals, but did you also realize that selling is a values-based activity? If your values emphasis is on control because you want to be best at delivering your product to the market, and your sales process and or your staff were all great people, emphasizing working closely with people and being affiliated and wanting to help, there will be a mismatch, because best at delivering your product to the market is operational excellence. That's a control value. People, being affiliated, wanting to help, are relationship values. Same again with the other two. I won't spend too much time here at this stage, but I do want you to see that values affects your sales process and language, and to see that it is all connected. And to remind you of the cost of not getting this area right, not having the right language when talking to prospects, not being able to identify with your prospects and helping them understand why buying from you is the perfect solution for them. Losing the trust of prospects makes the sale so much harder, if not impossible. Losing out to someone who truly understands what matters most to your prospects, all of which means lost revenue and lost opportunity. So it's critical to get values alignment in terms of your sales process. Staff, let's talk about your people. Knowing that your personal values align with the values of your work organization is the most powerful motivator there is. I often hear that people just need to be told, this is how it is, so just get used to it and do it. I have a lot of sympathy with the idea from the perspective of keeping life simple and getting the job done on time and within budget. And it works to the extent that people feel they are paid. But that's as far as it goes. So the question is there more? Is there further? Is there more that our staff, employees and team members can give and would give and want to give? And what difference will that make to their bottom line? And the answer is absolutely there is more. And the difference to the bottom line is exponential, times 4. Growth for values-aligned businesses is 4 times that of other businesses that are not aligned to values. So when values aren't aligned, there will be conflict. A work environment in which it is not safe to communicate because we use language aligned with our values, and the not being safe comes from not feeling that you're understood, in fact being misunderstood, being misinterpreted. So when it's not safe to communicate, people withhold their ideas, they withhold their thoughts, they withhold solutions, which leads of course to lost productivity and growth opportunity. They also feel so out of place that they're willing to sabotage the business in ways that are very difficult to manage, such as the theft of ideas, the theft of time, sometimes thieving products. It's a little easier to control, but they really sabotage because they don't feel connected. They don't feel aligned. They don't think their values are being expressed in the business. So the old skills and capabilities model of hiring and managing our teams is only accessing one of the 4 intelligences available in the workplace. That's the mental intellectual intelligence, or the IQ. And it leaves out of the equation the other 3 powerful motivators: social and emotional intelligence, physical and economic intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. These other intelligences are the ones that allow people to bring their hearts, heads, spirits, and whole selves to work. Sometimes the response to this is, I don't want any of that sort of soft values stuff around here. They can keep their personal lives out of work. But you try living your personal life at home. We are whole human beings. And the more of us that can be present in our workplaces, the more value we can deliver. Personal values are what make people do their best, complete work given to them, be proactive, etc. Presumably, we want these values at work. Now, if you recall, I said that our values direct our attention. And this has an enormous implication for anyone working with us, because unless directed by our cultures, our leadership, our systems and structures, people will disregard or ignore instructions determined by the extent or the degree to which their personal values align or misalign with their tasks and roles. It's a tricky one to get, that one. But people working with us will disregard or ignore instructions to the extent that their personal values align or misalign with their tasks and roles. It's absolutely key to get this right. Values can also be broadly categorized by head, heart, and hands. Just so I know you're with me, which strategic choice would align with head values? Great. Yeah. Okay. Fabulous. Product leadership. Perfect. Okay. All right. And heart values? Of course, people, relational values. In hand values, no prizes, there's only one left. Competencies and abilities, operational excellence. Fantastic. So unless the business's values are known and explicitly stated, systems and structures built aligned with this, anyone you have working for you will make their decisions based on their own values. That's what we do. So the business values must be known and explicitly stated. Systems and structures must be built aligned with this. And your staff, your team, your employees, anyone working with you, given the opportunity to align their personal values with the business, to work out how they actually get their personal values met by working with you or for you. So here's an example. Say my highest values are control-oriented and a customer has a problem with a product. I'll tell them that this is how it works around here. Yeah, control values. This is how it works. This is how we do it. And I'll be very surprised when they're not happy, especially if everything else in the business has led them to believe that this is a leader in its field, this product. They'll be unhappy. They'll be surprised because there's no alignment. Yeah, we've got the three value systems totally mixed up. Now, let's have a look at words. Not all words mean the same thing to everyone, and not all value words mean the same to everyone. Therefore, it's important to spell out what you mean by a value. It's important to describe the behaviours you would expect to see when that value is alive and well in your business, even if it's only you. It's very valuable to spend some time with anyone you expect to work in your team, for you, in your business. To articulate your values, to articulate their meaning, to articulate clearly what behaviour you will expect to see, and also allowing your systems or processes to be questioned so that everyone has clarity. Sometimes a business identifies a list of values they wish to grow the business aligned to, but the team doesn't seem to get it. This is the result of the meaning and beliefs around the values being different. People in the business are attributing their own meaning to the words that are on the list. For example, take a value of accountability. When the business owner believes that accountability means people will be accountable first to the success of the business, but that definition is not made explicit, then the employees will be confused. And importantly, they will not feel aligned or inclined to align with the value of accountability, even if they normally behave that way themselves. They don't trust its meaning. Their experience of accountability doesn't line up with their belief around it. Because accountability could also mean accountability to the customer's experience, not to the business success. Now that's a different behaviour, clearly a very different behaviour. So when you work with values, it's important both to identify them and then describe them in a way that everybody can understand exactly what that value means, and give examples of the behaviours you would expect to see. And when I'm working with a business, I like to explore this a lot and explore exactly how people are understanding the values and how your systems and structures are aligned. But that's not for now. Okay, so not all values are the same, and there are different kinds of values. So we have espoused values versus lived values. Now, espoused values are those that are on the list, the ones that are published. Enron's values, for instance, they were published. A recent example that I came across was a business with a value expressed as people are our most important asset. However, in reality, the impact of decisions on the people involved was not discussed before a decision was made. Clearly, the value was not being lived and had in fact become counterproductive. You can read more about that on my website, and there's a link to it. So we can espouse some values, but unless they are lived in terms of being explicit, clearly articulated, discussed in meetings, discussed in performance reviews, and the specific behaviours that are expected are articulated, then that's just a value on the wall, an espoused value. Let's have a look at goal values. Goal values, behaviour values, and aligned values. Goal values are the ultimate end result we wish to experience. They are values we aspire to achieve. They can be both future-focused and outcome-oriented. They're not a means to achieving anything. My personal value of lifestyle location is an example of a goal value. I aspire to live in the country and be able to afford to support my sons through their education. That's a goal value. Behavioural values are those values on which we want to focus our attention in order to eventually be who we want to be. Pursuit of knowledge is for me a behavioural value. Being wise is my goal, which I want to be so I can be of greater service to the world. And in order to be wise, I must pursue knowledge and understanding. So this is something I practice every day. It is something that I spend a large amount, up to 25% of my resources, time and money, on. So it is very much a lived value, a behavioural lived value. We must be who we want to be in order to have what we want. Being the kind of person who has the life they want, being that kind of person comes first. Behave. It's a behavioural value. Okay. Aligned values are those values you choose to prioritise in your work so that your personal and work values are in harmony and moving you in the same direction. So we have some very personal values and we also have our work values. They need to be aligned and in harmony. When they're aligned, personal and work values, that is, your focus and your sense of fulfillment will be the most powerful force in your business. So I mentioned this fact earlier. What is the impact on the bottom line of working with values in your organisation? Research conducted by Cotter and Heskett on companies with strong cultures based on shared values. So they did some research on companies with strong cultures based on shared values. Those companies grew 4 times faster than other companies over an 11-year period. So it's really worth some time, it's really worth your consideration, it's really worth putting some energy and effort into. So if the impact is indeed 4 times faster, building your business with ease and grace will also follow because you're aligned, because you've limited the conflict. You've limited the confusion and the frustration both for yourself and anyone working with you and your customers. And working with others is done with clarity and efficiency. You're also able to attract great team members, really great team members. So it's, again, really worth doing it. Okay, so your work this fortnight, or this week, beg your pardon, is to do the values exercise. Now, there are clear instructions, at least I hope they're clear instructions, but I want to say, if you have a value and you don't see it clearly articulated and you can't change the descriptor words of a value that's in there so that it's right for you, add in a value. Yeah, put the value in there if you can't find it. And the values that the set of values and the descriptors attached to them that you are given in the program may not be quite right. So change the descriptor words so that they are correct for you and meaningful to you. Now, I just want to say that values can, and indeed I believe, here I'm going to use a should word, don't often use that word, but values can and indeed can be aspirational. That means that you aspire to live according to those values. We don't always do it. We don't always live up to our highest aspirations and our highest values. Doesn't mean to say that they are not what we value. So we may value something even if we don't always behave in an ideal way according to it. Our deepest values are wired into us. They're part of our makeup and our spirit, and they form part of the dynamic urge that is the juice that makes magic happen. Harnessing that juice is the most powerful way to bring all the energy and passion to bear on your business mission. Finally, values create a cost-effective competitiveness difficult to get any other way. They really do make a business stand out, make it easy to attract great people, keep great people, motivate great people, and attract your ideal customers and your ideal clients. So the exercise is to take the values and quickly flip through them and decide which ones are in your yes pile and which ones are in your no pile. And then take your yes values and put them into 3 piles. Always valued. Now that's always valued. Even if you don't always behave according to it, you do always value it. Then mostly valued, and then sometimes valued and sometimes not. So take your yes pile and divide it into those 3. What you're looking for is somewhere between 5 and maybe 10 or 11 in your always valued pile. Once you've done that, find someone who will spend 10 or 15 minutes with you and prioritize them. And how you do that is list all the values and then going from top to bottom, compare each value with every other one. Starting at the top, you would compare the top value with everyone below it, and then starting with the second value on the list, you would compare that with everyone below it, and so on down the list. Then you will see, put a mark beside the ones, of course, and then you can tote those up and you can see which are your highest values and which are your lowest values. If you need some help doing that exercise, do get in touch. So have fun working out your values. It's a really great thing to do. And bring your questions to the Q&A on Tuesday. I look forward to being able to help you with those. In the meantime, to your success in business and in life, this is me signing out. Thanks for being here.